Adam, on last week's episode, you said you wanted a four-digit horsepower number, which I think was kind of funny because I was talking to our friend Sam. I say our friend because he's kind of a made man in this space. And I was explaining like who we are and who we're talking to and everything. And I said, we're not one of those guys with like four-digit horsepower numbers and cubic dollars for budgets. And I know what I meant, and it wasn't like what you meant.
Yeah.
But Sam isn't like deep into car stuff, so I'm gonna have to explain that to him. Going ahead, I meant like deep into the four-digit horsepower range, whereas you were like 1,000 and whatever.
1,001, I would be happy with.
Right, and I'll also have to explain like the way you mean is the way that any working man could afford to do it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking the higher numbered, like, I don't have anything against Cletus, right? But I was thinking like the high horsepower number of Leroy or something like, that.
The mullet.
Super high number. So I'm going to have to explain that difference to him.
Huge difference.
No, I wasn't lying. Like, this is how it goes.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, it was be an interesting conversation this week. So with that, welcome to the Automotive Misconduct podcast. I am your host, Dustin.
I'm Adam.
So it was an interesting week. I barely made it. What's going on with you, sir?
Not too much. Just trying to survive myself. I turned the big 3.9 today. You know.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. Hopefully time stops there because we all know what comes after this.
Right. Like I said, this was the learning portion. This is where life begins. Right?
Yeah, this is where it starts to get fun, I guess.
Yeah.
I got my paperwork in the mail today, Friday from Autorama. Like, kind of they give you like a time slot when you can bring your car down. Obviously, it is again in the heart of Detroit.
Oh yeah.
Like downtown, and you got thousands of cars trying to get in this building at the same time. So they give you like a designated time slot to bring your car down. So I got Wednesday at 3 o'clock. I have to have the car down there. And of course, it is not a moving vehicle right now. So that is an issue. I did have to send my converter down to PTC, get it loosened up. They told me I said 2-week turnaround time, so hopefully I can have that thing back here, even if I got to do some overnight freight. Then I put my appearance in the car show in UPS's hands, which
oh boy,
which is a whole nother deal in its own. Our shipping is like, it's almost like a hope and a prayer. Like,
oh yeah, we've all been there.
So then you get you get your tracking number, and then you monitor it like until it literally shows up in your hands, like praying to God. There's no, why the hell is my converter in Montana, like type situation. Like,
right.
Like, oh my God, we've lost your package.
Oh.
But no, that's about it with that. Hopefully that thing comes back, get that in, and you and I and our friend Justin talked about maybe showing the car some love on this Saturday since it's been kind of decent out here. And
yeah. No, that'll be obviously it'll be work, right? But it'll be fun to get together and show some love to the car and make some jokes and drink a few pops and have a good time.
Yep, just kind of get at least the exterior majority, clay bar, wash, your basic stuff, maybe even see how far we get into it. But like I said, it's not exactly a show car, but we can try to spruce it up a little bit.
Oh, for sure. We'll get it as good as we can get it.
Yeah. But that's about all I've got going on, at least the past week anyway. How about yourself?
Hell, I got the unexciting task of taking the lease truck to the dealership tomorrow for a little bit of body work. I I want to say it was when my wife had it, somebody hit the front bumper cover, and they don't like taking leases back with damage, so gotta get that handled because that goes back this year. I was thinking about that earlier this weekend. I'll probably be outside of the Charger. I'll probably be flipping the entire fleet this year, like changing it over completely. So it'll be an interesting year as far as that goes. So for this week's episode, we actually been meaning to do this for a couple of weeks. We just ran into some other stuff. We just wanted to talk about engines in general and just see where that goes. So we're going to start with you with the engine in your car.
Yeah. I obviously went with the LS in mine. It takes mods very well, makes great power. They're super easy to work on. The build aspect of it, like just the LS engine in general, and they're so interchangeable, like between the 4853, 60, like, I mean, they're all so interchangeable. It's kind of why I chose that, is just being able to, like, after I do get build a short block for it, like, it's as simple as taking the heads off it, pulling the engine out, and putting the short block in and bolting the heads back on. I mean, everything is so simplistic with that engine. The size of it compared to obviously the Ford counterpart, the dual overhead cam stuff. It's a huge package.
Right.
I mean, as is the Hemi. It's a large, very large cylinder head. So I chose. That's why kind of the positives in my eyes. Parts availability. I mean, hell, they put the damn engine in everything. Like, I could.
Yeah, like sorry, not to interrupt. Availability of like upgrades of factory parts with those engines is something I'm super jealous of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I believe the best flowing heads for those are the 243s, 243 castings, and those are just on regular old truck motors, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like we don't have that in the Hemi world. Like, it's all the SRT stuff, and it's all lower production numbers and higher values, and the LS upgradability is probably not a word, but it just using truck engine stuff.
Right, and that's the
huge advantage.
Huge, but just being able to know that at any point in time, I mean, you can go to any parts store around here and pick up whatever part you need. Engine grenades. I mean, like I said, I found my engine on Marketplace for $750 complete. That had, intake to pan. Like, the cost was huge for me. The aftermarket support is like second to none. I mean, the aftermarket support is huge. So many different avenues you can take, just with in the stock block application, and getting into the LSX stuff, LS Next. I mean, everybody's starting to make aftermarket blocks for these things. I mean, at that point, that'd be kind of like no money, whatever you want to throw into the thing. I mean, you can get into billet stuff. I mean, the aftermarket world is insane.
Yeah, it's definitely, as far as horsepower per dollar or anything of it. Like, if you were building a race car as a tool, if you had like no emotions involved, I mean, I'll just straight up admit that LS is the way to go. Definitely no argument from me. Like, so if you're just looking to get a job done, that's it.
Yeah, you need a tool that
sure.
just does the job and doesn't complain about it and doesn't mind getting put away, rusted away in the drawer. Like, that is it. The negative side of things, I really don't have one. I know we talked about that. Like, the positives, pros and cons. Like, for me, there isn't one. Like, I can't think of a damn thing that I'd do differently.
No, that's really good. I mean, as far as me with mine, the Hemi, it's not the same. Clearly,
No.
It's not the horsepower per dollar. It's realistically, just because you like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my car is a Hot Wheels car or a Matchbox car or whatever. It's not a tool. It's not horsepower per dollar. I just like the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to describe it. I feel like these engines have similar power potential. You're just going to have to spend more to get there. So it's one of those where you just like it. Like I said, I just say was a Dodge guy growing up and everything, and I like the look of a Charger, and that's the motor that came in it.
Yep.
So you just kind of embrace the situation.
I will say that, like, from working on your car and doing the camshaft and all that stuff, like, once you get those massive ass cylinder heads off the car, like, the short block itself in its geometry is relatively close to the LS. I mean, like, taking it apart, I was pretty surprised with how easy it was to work on once you got that massive cylinder head off there.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely quite a pinch to get in there, like that. The back bolt on the passenger side of the valve cover.
Yeah.
I've never got that off without cutting my hand. It just is what it is. Like, all right, here we go.
Yep. And how about taking that's why when I put your long tubes on, literally had to put them and the cylinder head together to get them down in there. They were a shoehorn fit for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, say most of the time, if you do it inside the car, they say they want you to undo the motor mount and jack the engine up to get the space to get them in there.
Oh, I can see that for sure.
So being a Hemi guy, I have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Especially with the newer ones, the 2009 and up 5.7s and the 6.4s and everything. They do have the lifter issue, and I'm gonna keep this person anonymous for their protection. But we want to show, say, this person I know that is had a cam go bad. So we're gonna try a screen share here. Let's see how this goes.
Ooh. That is absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
So does the lifter does the lifter turn sideways in the bore and then it runs sideways on the lobe?
Yeah. It's pretty insane, man.
Yeah.
That he drove on it for a little while.
I would say so.
But hopefully it's okay after he gets that swapped out. But yeah, definitely want to acknowledge the elephant in the room there with the Hemi.
Well,
I guess I would say, continuing down the line here, like money no object. Like, as much as I like the 6.1 and tempted as I am to just say a stroked 426 cubic inch version of it, the Hellcat is undeniable at how good it is at holding power and everything. I mean, I guess I would just say would go with a Hellcat swap. It would definitely be a complex swap, but we're talking money no object here. So I guess that would be kind of my answer for that. What's an engine that you liked for, I guess, almost no reason? You don't know why, you just liked it.
I would have to say like the 3.8 that GM made.
Okay.
That they just
the 3800.
I mean, that engine was kind of like one of those unkillable things. Like, didn't need oil to run, antifreeze, nothing.
Yeah.
You just kind of drove the damn thing around. And all those cars the engine definitely lasted longer than the vehicle did up here in Michigan. Most of them completely rotted to the ground, but if you could, it'll run and drive. It's unsafe as hell because K members are all rotted away. But
do you know how many Grand Prix I saw in that exact situation, working at Northwest Tire?
Oh, I'm sure. I can only imagine.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, I was a service manager there for a while. Totally that situation. The only thing I ever really saw go bad on those was intake gaskets.
Yep.
That was like a $400 to $600 job. But I mean, realistically, how big of a deal is that?
Right, when the engine
Like
lasts
little of nothing.
300,000 mile engine and you've put intake gaskets and then that little plastic elbow that you put the steel elbow in, that little,
Yeah.
you know, it's simplistic stuff. I mean, those engines literally last forever. That's probably my favorite, one of my favorite, between that and the old 2.5 Iron Duke that Chevy made that was like the little 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking back in the 80s and 90s though, but that
Yeah.
was probably I have my two favorite engines, the 3.8 and the 2.5.
I guess kind of mine along that same lines is you remember what I drove in high school and then early college. I had that LeBaron and then the 5-speed Dodge Shadow was that little 3.0 V6. I think the like designation of it was a 6G72, like you know the 4G63, like that was like the equivalent of it. It made like 140 horsepower when it was brand new. Like it wasn't a rocket ship by any means, but the darn thing started every single day. Never gave me a problem outside of belts, hoses. It burned some oil. Yeah. Well, in like the thing that like the fatal flaw on those was valve seals. It would start to burn oil, like, and I never really got past more than, I don't know, half a quart every couple thousand miles.
Oh.
So I mean, if you went 5,000 miles and add half to 3/4 of a quart in the middle in an oil change, like if you were willing to live with that, and as I was a 18 to 21-year-old, I was definitely willing to live with that.
Right.
It was fine, you know what I mean? Like it got me through that beginning stages of driving and taught me how to drive stick, and it was powerful enough to keep me interested for a little while, you know, like it wasn't super fast by any means. I never thought that. But say it was zero, especially the Shadow, like 0 to 40, it did okay.
Yep.
But
what you were saying about oil consumption, just to put into perspective, I mean, this isn't obviously car related, engine wise though, but we have this wood chipper line at work that they started putting the Ford 6.2 on, and oil consumption is a massive issue that we're finding with this engine. And I'm talking it draining the oil pan in less than 100 to 150 hours of runtime.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
draining the oil pan.
It will literally drain the oil pan and run it, because the tree guys always check their machines over, you know, like that's me being facetious for sure.
Yes.
They not checking the oil in those things as leading to engine failures like no other, just due to the oil. Like it's literally burning every drop of oil in that oil pan until the top end has zero lubrication and the engine seizes. And of course we're like, hey, Mr. Customer, did you happen to check your oil? Oh yeah, I do it religiously. Oh well, that's funny because you have zero oil and the engine is junk. And these engines are about $20,000. Wow. So
this is reminding me of my project at work right now.
Yeah.
Hardcore. Yeah. Once a shift, you need to check the oil. Oh goodness gracious.
Oh man.
So what has your experiences been, or what is your preference as far as a diesel engine goes?
Never really got into owning a diesel. Worked on a few, multiple diesels.
Right.
Mainly the stuff I would have to say is bad stuff. I mean, obviously, in my opinion, you know, I feel like the old, you know, Cummins 12 valve, 24 valve, like those are superior in my opinion. Like even the Ford 7.3s. Man, like the DT 466s from International, and that's you know, larger truck stuff, but that's mainly what I worked on. And then even like the Ford 6-liter, between, I mean, the Power Stroke has come a long way, I would say. I mean, from its early years, you know, they were horrible. Those things were absolute trash, in my opinion. But like I said, every engine manufacturer has their issues, but and just in my personal opinion, them are definitely some of the worst. The new not new anymore, it's the Ford 3-liter diesel that they put in some of the newer, I think it's like 18, 19, 20 area F-150s. Actually saw that to remove the thermostat, to just change the thermostat, you have to, it is actually mounted under the driver's side exhaust manifold. In order to change the exhaust manifold, you have to pull the engine. And in order to in order to pull the engine, you have to remove the cab. So to change a thermostat,
you have to pull the cab to change the thermostat.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I just don't. I mean, that's just some of my personal endeavors with diesel engines.
How could you not know that before you released something?
Yeah.
And if you did, how is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, and to me, that's kind of a, not necessarily a quick wear item, but it's a wear item in a sense. I mean,
yes.
Thermostats go bad all the time.
Yes, like that would 100% be in your plan.
Yeah.
That's going to be replaced at some, like, you're going to have warranty costs for that. Like,
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a friend at work that has one, and let's just say that truck is probably on its way back to a dealership just because it's getting over the 100,000 mark, and he's like, I don't even want to deal with this stuff.
Oh my God, that's shocking.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say that. It
blew my mind when I found that.
Most insane thing I've heard.
Like how that even made it through. Like who said, "Yep, that is a great idea. Let's run with that."
Yeah. Who signed off on that? Like, wow.
Yeah. So like, of course, me being a mechanic, I always see the crap side of the stuff. You know, I really, like I said, I've never owned a diesel. So.
Well, just from a business standpoint, the warranty costs. Are you kidding me?
I know.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, good Lord. So you know, for me, it's kind of the same. You know, the Cummins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know there's like the idea, like always a Dodge guy. Of course, he's gonna say Cummins, but with the family business, the excavating company, growing up, Hammerline Excavating was powered by Cummins.
Mm-hmm.
So the shirt on my back, the food in my belly, the lights on in the house was brought to me by Cummins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how could I not be like, ooh, thank you?
Yeah.
You know? So it's just for that reason. The 4BT that's in the was in the backhoe.
Yep.
Like it ran and ran and ran. Like Dad put new bearings in it months before he passed.
Yeah.
Somebody just bought it a little while ago. They're still getting a good running backhoe. So
Yep.
it's what powered my childhood. So I can't turn my back on that. Anything you've had bad experiences with that you wanted to stay away from?
Probably the worst engine that I've ever had and anything I've owned was it the 3.6 or 3.7 that came in the Liberty.
3.7.
Holy crap! That I had to put spark. I only had that for maybe less than a year, but I had to put plugs in that damn thing every 20 to 30,000 miles.
And they're not copper.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm talking OEM plug, and I even went like NGK. I put every spark plug imaginable in this thing. Yeah, that was probably the trashiest engine. Between that and if I didn't beat the crap out of it every day.
Sorry.
Yeah. the carbon buildup on the valves. That thing had misfires for just randomly driving down the road and would pick up a misfire. I'm like, what in the hell? And yeah, it's because of, it is just a junk engine in my opinion. That's probably the worst engine in anything I've ever had.
Yeah. What I can add to that is when I was the service porter at the Dodge dealer in college, I did a lot of oil changes, obviously, as part of that gig. And the 3.7s on the Liberties and Nitros, I had a hell of a hard time doing an oil change on them without burning my arm.
Yes.
At some point. It was just a real piss poor design. Yeah, so you're not going to catch me defending those. I guess the counterpart I have for that is the 4.7 V8 that Dodge made. Tons of lifter issues, just like the Hemi. They tons of when I was doing service writing after college. Made some money off of selling those. Definitely want. It's the one Dodge engine that I stay away from. Like I've looked at buying Dakotas and stuff recently and over the last couple of years, and I refuse to buy one that has a 4.7 in it. So
man, you're over here fighting words for my ex neighbor Lyle, the Durango dude. That thing would be that dude would be out there piss revving the hell out of his 4.7 at 3 o'clock in the morning just because he could.
Just because I can.
Like, he would literally start that thing and the oil pressure gauge would have to race the RPM gauge to get to its top. They were literally as soon as that fired, that thing was off the limiter every single day. Smoking to beat hell, like just clacking away. Things sound like a damn sewing machine, but he's out there and with the straight pipes and he was in high heaven. So if Lyle's out there listening to this, he's gonna be pretty pissed off that you're dying. You're over here.
Hey Lyle, if you're there, subscribe, bud, please. Yeah, I remember talking to my neighbor, and it was when I actually had this cat hanging around my house, and I was trying to find a home for it, and I never talked to this neighbor down the road. And speaking of piss revving the engine and stuff, the guy was like, you really could make a lot more noise than you do. So I wanted you to know that I appreciate that.
Hey.
Thanks, dude. Right, cool. Yeah. He's like, usually wait until you get down to the curve, and then you get on it down there. So anybody knows where I live or been to my house, you know what that means.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like every day I get down to the curve, get on the other side of it, and that's when I hammer down on it. That poor house at the corner there.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh.
Whoops.
Oh, well.
Yeah. All right, one last thing I wanted to talk about was interesting swaps. What is something that you would do as far as an engine swap?
Swap that I'd like to do, I'm infatuated with old ramp trucks. I always wanted to put, do a Cummins.
Adam Finnegan.
Yeah. I always want to put get an old, 50s model, 55, 6 area, old Chevy ramp truck, do a Cummins swap in one of those. I just think it'd be pretty cool, and have it, color matched to the car, and that be my tow rig to the track.
Oh yeah,
something I thought.
An old 12 valve in just about anything is cool. It's like a universal deal.
Yeah, that's kind of something that I want to swap. Obviously, that'd be one of those. If money wasn't an option type thing, because good luck finding a 50s model Chevy ramp truck that is still alive.
Right, and then you'd have to do a whole chassis to handle the power, and from there.
Yep.
I guess kind of my, not equivalent, but answer to that. Like I said before, I drove a Dodge Shadow in early college, and that was right when the SRT4 Neon came out, and I always thought it'd be cool to swap the drivetrain out of one of those into, a sanitary, clean Dodge Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, modified and everything, probably around the 300 horsepower mark.
God.
Like, that'd be a real fast car. It'd be super fun as like a daily or whatever.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, if you liked the video, please like it. If you really liked it, please subscribe. If you don't like it, tell us why in the comments, and why are you still here? Anyways, thanks for coming.
We'll see ya.